It is a morning muffin. It is a ham and cheese muffin that we're going to be putting together. It'd be great for them to run out the door, also for parents to take to work with them, and even in the lunchbox for a later lunch. So why don't we go ahead and get started on some of this stuff?
That sounds great.
All right. First thing is first is that you want to make sure that your oven is preheated to 375 degrees, which we do have that going at this point. Dan, if I can have you greasing the muffin pan, and I will start putting some of the stuff together.
I can do that.
So in a bowl, what we're going to do is combine all of our dry ingredients. We have about 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, we're going to add some ground cornmeal, yellow ground cornmeal, and you want about 3/4 cup of that. We're going to add just about 1/2 cup of sugar to the mixture itself. We're going to add a little bit of salt. We're going to add just about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then to the mix, we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay?
These all sound like good muffin components.
And really, Dan, this is a very basic muffin mix. You could stop right here and not add anything else to it besides your wet ingredients, and you'd have a great corn muffin. But we're going to make it a little bit better. So you want to mix your dry ingredients together, and then we're going to put that to the side just for a minute. And we're going to mix some wet ingredients together to add to our dry ingredients. So the first thing is first, we're going to put in 2 eggs. And I like to just whisk the eggs just a little bit so it's a little bit easier to incorporate when we're mixing everything else in there. And then to that, we're also going to add 1/3 cup of oil. You can use a vegetable oil, you can use a corn oil, whatever you prefer to use. We're using a canola oil right now to keep it a little bit healthier. And lastly, to our wet ingredients, we want to go ahead and add about 1 cup of milk. Okay?
That looks good.
And for this recipe and many others, you can find them on plattertalk.com. So if I'm going a little too fast for you, you can find all of that right there.
Scott, how about if I chop up a little ham here?
That sounds great.
How much do you need here, buddy?
I need about 1 cup of ham.
Okay, it looks like we've got it already pretty well prepared.
And then I also need, I also have some green onion.
Okay.
And I've got some cheddar cheese. This is a mild cheddar because that's what the kids like. About 1/2 cup of cheddar and about 1/3 cup of onion. You can omit the onion if you don't want it at all. I know our kids don't like onion as much, but
I don't think in this recipe they don't even necessarily notice.
Not at all.
And another point is, if you don't have cheddar cheese, use whatever you've got in your drawer. Colby extra sharp goes really well with the ham that we're going to toss in here.
Absolutely, Dan. That's a great point. I'm going to go ahead and add my wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and I'm just going to incorporate it and stir it in. Again, with this, you don't want to really overmix because you don't want a dry muffin or a very tough muffin. So the less that you incorporate, the better. So I'm going to just go ahead and get that so that it's all just mixed in. And then Dan, can you do me a favor? Because I grabbed the wrong thing to use.
Yep.
But can you add in the? We're going to add in the ham.
All right.
And the cheese.
You betcha.
And basically, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and fold that in. Now, I said that you can use about 1/2 cup of the cheese. We're in Wisconsin. If you want to go a little bit bigger with that, I'd say about 3/4 cup would be great.
You ready for the greens here?
That'd be great.
Okay. All this?
All of it in.
Okay. Yep. All right.
And then again, you're just going to fold to incorporate that and to make sure that you've got all of that in there. And then what you want to do is you want to fill your muffin pan about 1/3 of a way full. I just use a measuring cup, and then I go ahead and add that in there. So I'm going to quickly get this in here, and then we'll pop this in the oven. This is going to bake, as I mentioned, at 375, and it's going to bake for just about 20 minutes or so. You'll know it's done because your muffins will be golden brown, and they'll be a little bit firmer to the touch itself. Oh, you know what, Dan? I also wanted to mention to people as well, I know that this time of year is actually very busy, so what you can do is, if you're too busy, is prepare the batter the night before and stick it in the refrigerator. Before you get up, or once you get up, and before you need them done, you can just pop them in your
It
muffin
makes
pan.
them even more convenient. And one more thing to share with you that we learned is that these things freeze very nicely for 2 or 3 months even. Of course, in our household, they won't ever last that long.
That's a great point, Dan. And again, the other thing too is if this is going to become a staple, which I know it will, in your family, what you can also do is put your dry ingredients together in a bag and just have it sitting in the pantry. And
Yeah, that'll be a mini muffin.
my estimation didn't work very well.
Our
but
little English Bulldog Ellie will love that one.
we're going to get these in the oven, 375 for about 20 minutes. And through the magic of television, we happen to have a set done for you.
Oh my gosh, those smell so wonderful.
And what you want to do is you want to cool them on a wire rack for about 3 minutes after you take them out of the oven. Once they've cooled just a little bit, then what you can do is, just as Dan's doing, if you just kind of shake it a little bit and put them on the wire
beautiful.
rack to, I was going to say to dry, but not to dry, to cool down. And you've got a great breakfast. You've got a simple lunch for the kids and for yourself. I'd say, you know what, give this a try.
So here you have it, folks. We're Dan and Scott from plattertalk.com, and we're on Living with Amy this morning with you, making some delicious ham and cheese breakfast muffins.
Absolutely.
And
for this recipe and many more, please visit us on
they're delicious.
plattertalk.com.
Just telling you.
Have a great day, guys.